Back to the Global Business Report here on Rise News. It's our Eye on Tech. This is one of the biggest stories of 2023. This is, they call it the Magnificent Seven. And these, of course, are seven stocks, seven of the biggest stocks as far as market capitalization is concerned, but also their returns. Let's quickly take you through this. Alphabet, parent of Google, as of yesterday, December the 14th, 50% return for Alphabet so far this year. Apple, up returning 52.7%. Look at Amazon, 75.5%, but it gets bigger. Meta, up by 167.09%. Microsoft up by 52.4 and 52.74. Nvidia, I mean, we talked about Nvidia and the fact that Intel is coming out with a new chip to target Nvidia. Nvidia is up 230% so far this year. If you put $1,000 in Nvidia at the beginning of this year, you're sitting in the money. And then, of course, Tesla also making the news. Tesla is up 103%. No, speaking of Tesla, Elon Musk, seed money for a new university, putting $100 million of his money, donating that to get a new university in Texas. And we're going to be talking about that right now as far as universities are concerned, because we do have Dr. Babs Omotowa. He is the president and CEO of the Nigerian University of Technology and Management. Dr. Babs, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us on the Global Business Report. Good morning to you. So I want to talk to you about your university. Would you like your students to go work at those Magnificent Seven companies?
Absolutely, Rotus. I mean, these are world-class companies delivering world-class results, and we at the Nigerian University of Technology and Management, we are developing world leaders, innovative leaders for the future. And these are the sort of companies that they work for. We have seen even universities like the Indian Institute of Technology produce graduates that have gone to lead these sort of organizations. And that's what I see, that graduates will in future be not just working for these companies, but also leading these companies. But one more thing to add, Rotis, is that we not only develop leaders who work for companies, we also develop graduates who go on to set up their own businesses, set up multi-billion-dollar businesses. And half of our students have already done that. So I expect that in the future, we'll actually see some of our students developing new unicorns, big companies that will also be competing with this sort of Magnificent Seven.
In terms of the quality of faculty that will train these students, I want to give you an example. I can't stop talking about India, and I apologize to my viewers, but the University of, I think it's the University of Chicago, one of their business professors is a former governor of the Reserve Bank of India. He's an economist that's worked with the World Bank. I think it's Rajam Rajuran, if I can have his name correctly. But he's part of the faculty. I mean, to have a former central bank governor in your faculty teaching students, I mean, I can imagine how much they're paying there. But can you tell me about the need to have quality faculty in your technology university to train this next generation of software engineers and so on in Nigeria?
Rotus, this is an absolute requirement. You cannot have a world-class university like we are trying to build without having world-class faculty. And again, as I mentioned, we learned a bit from the Indians as well, who have gone through this journey with the Indian Institute of Technology. And the way we are going about it is that we're relying a lot at this early stage of our development on world-class faculty. So most of our faculty today come from, Stanford, from MIT, from Oxford universities. They come as adjunct faculties, visiting faculties. Sometimes they teach online because this access to world-class individuals is very, very key to be able to achieve the sort of quality that we require out of our graduates. And what we have been able to do is to be able to get these sort of faculties to teach in our classes. They've been teaching over the last 3 years in our school, and you see the graduates that have come out of that product are really, really top-notch. Not just because these are world-class faculty, they teach world-class curriculum, which is industry-led and industry-driven, and the teaching methods that they teach these students is quite different. It's not the memorization and regurgitation that you see in typical universities around here, but more about experiential learning, practical learning, and at the leading edge of research is what they teach. So we're really, really very keen that we have access to this world-class faculty to teach our students.
In fact, I remember that his name is Rajan Raghuram. He's a business professor at the University of Chicago. So then I have to ask you this, Doctor. What about how much it costs to pay this faculty and how that filters into the cost of tuition, cost of education at your university? It's got to be high if it's quality.
It did. Quality is not cheap, clearly, and these faculties cost quite a lot. If you want faculty that are the leading edge of research, that are the world-class faculties, you have to pay them quite a lot of money. And what we do is that we have been very fortunate. We have quite a lot of people who have been supporting us. We're a very unique university because we're an independent university, not supported by the government, federal, state, church or mosque, or by any ultra-wealthy individual. So we have been lucky to have a number of kind-hearted individuals, kind-hearted organizations, institutions and foundations who have been supporting us and have enabled us to pay this. In terms of school fees, of course, the cost will be very high to charge on individual students. So we just make our fees market-driven rather than cost-driven. And we rely on this support of other institutions and other foundations to help us through this. I must mention that in Nigeria, we typically look at parents to pay for children's education. This is not the norm in most developing countries. If you go to the US or to the UK, you find that it's either scholarships provided by ultra-wealthy individuals or by corporations, or students' loan schemes provided by the government that finances tertiary education. I think this is something we need to do a lot more of in Nigeria to encourage ultra-wealthy individuals to donate scholarships for students and to get the government to really grow this student loan scheme to enable access to quality education for most of our young graduates.
Okay, so that now leads me to my next question, Dr. Omotawa, because is there going to be a widening gap, with what you're bringing to the stage here, to the marketplace, with your technology university, with your high quality faculty, and what it costs? Does that now, if more universities like you come on the scene, does that increase the gap between the students that attend there, how far they are able to progress, versus, unfortunately, public universities and so on, even other private universities that may not be at that level? Does the gap widen?
I think one way to look at it, Rotus, is that today many of the students that really go out of Nigeria to study in universities, in the US, in the UK, to get access to quality top education, we are now trying to bring that into Nigeria so that people don't have to leave the country to get access to that world-class education, and more people then will be able to have access to that education. But to your question, really, the challenge with a lot of the universities in the country currently that are being promoted by the government, either at federal or state, is that the government really has no business in business. And the ability to really manage this sort of institutions to world-class standard, I think is not something the government can do to the extent they're really managing universities. So I think there's a lot of reforms that need to happen in these universities to allow either alumni of those universities or trust and foundations to manage these universities, while government concentrates a little bit more on how to provide things like student loan schemes, how to incentivize through tax credit ultra-wealthy individuals to be able to donate scholarships such that those universities can have the same quality of faculty we have, and the faculties that are in those universities can also get trained and up to the latest technologies. So yes, in terms of the gap, it's there, but we need to have reforms in public universities to be able to come up to the right quality that I think our young people deserve.
Okay, I want to ask you about STEM. That's science, technology, engineering, and math. I understand that you are leaning heavily on that on your curriculum at your technology university. But a lot of the conversation for STEM has been about getting more girls into STEM. Is that part of it, or is it widespread for boys and girls?
University, but we also do have management and entrepreneurship along with that as well. And indeed, STEM, I think, is a key for any country's development, and no wonder we are very focused on that. In terms of girls in STEM, this has been a global phenomenon that many parts of the world have been doing a lot to try and get more female into STEM. We are very focused on that as well. In fact, for the first 3 years of our institution, we've had 42% of our students are female. So we're really focused on that. In fact, the current cohort is about 50% of them are female. But we're beyond that, not just on female, we're also focused on those who are challenged, so physically challenged individuals, we also look out for them and we bring them into these institutions. But we also go out to look for people from educationally disadvantaged areas. So for example, one of the girls we brought in last cohort was a girl from the ex-Chibok kidnapped girls. Mary is her name. Mary worked in the university. We gave her full scholarship, and she was able to really get this world-class learning. And she's back now and working to find solutions for some of the challenges she saw in the North, including women access to education, entrepreneurship opportunities, and so she's working on that. So we're very keen on female in STEM, but also challenge people who would have physical challenge, and also people from educationally disadvantaged areas as well.
Dr. Omoto, before I came to you, we had the news, of course, that Elon Musk, who everybody knows, is putting $100 million of his money towards a technology university in Austin, Texas. You've got your university, another technology university. Of course, you mentioned, of course, you're doing management as well, entrepreneurship. But are technology universities where we're going? Do you see a more proliferation of these universities threatening the more general universities that are out there? Is it because of the future, because of where tech is going, AI, and all these things? Will we see more technology-focused universities down the line?
I think the answer is yes, without a doubt. I mean, experts will tell you, Rotus, that most companies in the future will be technology companies. I will even argue that our lives is going to be technologically driven lives in our personal lives as well. So indeed, we have to produce graduates who are ready for that future, graduates who are going to be working in a lot of these tech companies, but also even the whole learning philosophy and teaching methods these days are all tech driven. So, you know, I think every university will have to be tech in some way, and focus of curriculum, I think, will have to be technology. I don't think anyone should graduate from a Nigerian university or any university in the world without a technology savviness, because they will not be able to function well into the future. They will not find a lot of areas where they can work. But again, I also will say entrepreneurship is very important, which is why we also focus on that along with management, because there will be fewer jobs. There are also problems in society that we have to solve, and you need people who are able to solve those sort of problems using technological tools and skills going forward.
So, Babs Omoto, the president of the Nigerian University of Technology and Management, thank you for joining us on our Eye on Tech segment on the Global Business Report on Horizon News. Appreciate your time.